Hi guys, how are you? So I was just having a conversation with God early this morning. And I want to say something to you guys. And I want to just say this is a confirmation for a lot of you guys. You know, this is how you'll know. This is how you know, okay? I just had to smile and chuckle because it's like the most craziest things I've ever seen. And it's like, you know, when you hear about it in the Bible and you see what Christ went through and stuff, it's, you know, it's not a funny thing. But at the same time, it hits different when you start to notice that what God was telling you is actually happening to you. And what happened to him is actually happening to you. Remember, they hated Christ first, right? So it's kind of like when you start noticing and you come to the revelation, like, yeah, you may get sad, but after a while of being used to it, you start to kind of chuckle. You're like, wow, God, this is really deep. Like, this is like exactly what you're talking about. But here's how you'll know. Here's how you'll know you really, truly fit in with Christ. Here's how you'll know. Because when you truly fit in with Christ, you're going to be hated so much. And you're going to be hated by the religious, spirited Christians that claim they love Christ. They're going to hate you. They're going to say you're the devil. They're going to say you're evil. They're going to say you're a warlock or a witch. And then you're going to have the actual real warlock and witches that work for the devil. They're going to hate you too. So it's kind of like, okay, if I'm hated by the religious spirited Christians and I'm hated by the warlocks and witches, it's kind of like, where do you fit in? Because, but let me tell you something. You're not supposed to fit in. That's the whole point of not being a part of this world. That's the whole point of what God said when he said you're going to be hated. You're going to be hated from the evil people, and you're going to be hated from the people who are claimed to be good, but they're kind of still evil. And if you really take it in, you'll notice that, you know, the religious spirited Christians that claim they love Christ, that judge you and ridicule you and put you down and slander you and lie on you and call you all sorts of names, you're going to notice that they're no different from the warlocks and witches, you know? So it's just a revelation that God just really brought to my attention today. I'm like, God, they're really no different from the warlocks and witches. Like, the hearts are cold, you know? And it's pretty sad. There's a difference between being a religious Christian, religious spirited Christian, and a Christian who has a relationship with the Lord and who understands the Lord and who has a spiritual relationship with the Lord. And there's a big difference, because when you have that real relationship with Christ, you're not going to get away with any type of evilness from your heart. You're not going to get away with slander. You're not going to get away with false witnessing. You're not going to get away with anything, because when you have a real relationship with Christ, you hear Christ, you feel Christ, you know, your biggest fear is conviction, you know? So because you don't want to be convicted, you're going to always make sure that your heart's in the right place. You're going to always make sure that you're treating others the way you want to be treated. I also noticed something. I want to share this with you too. So I noticed also when God gave me that analogy, that message this morning, and that confirmation, and he gave me the analogy of like traveling, because I travel a lot, right? So I was like, God, you're so right, because now I see why, like, you weren't even accepted in your own hometown, right? Like, remember, Christ wasn't accepted in his own hometown. And you have to remember something. When he traveled, he met the most genuine people when he traveled, and he got the most love when he traveled, right? From people. Yeah, he was still hated, but he got a lot more love when he traveled to other places than being in his own hometown. And that's similar to us. Like, when we start to elevate and God starts to bless us, like, we're going to be hated in our own hometown. Like, we have to, you're going to notice that when you start to travel, you're going to meet the most genuine people. Like, when I travel the world and I go to different countries, I have friends in like every country I've been to. I've made friends and I have their contact information and stuff. And every time I go back, I see them. And I noticed that these are like the most genuine people. Even though we may not have like the same beliefs and stuff like that, they accept me for me. And when I go there, I'm allowed to like openly talk about Christ and all of that. And they hear me out, they listen to me, and they are like the most genuine souls, you know? And it's sad because we don't even get that from people who so-called say they love God. We don't even get that same type of respect and love from our own fellow brothers and sisters. But then you have to ask yourselves, do they really love God? Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you love God, you're love. You're all about love. You're all about giving out love because you want to receive it. You're all about treating your brothers and sisters the way you want to be treated, you know? So it's just like, that was a big revelation that God gave me this morning. So I want to just say, if anyone is going through something similar, remember something: you're not supposed to fit in. When God says not being a part of this world, that's also something that's also what he's talking about. Being hated from people who love the devil, from witches and warlocks, they hate you because you love Christ. And then being hated from the religious spirited Christians who claim they love Christ because they think you're the devil, but really and truly what they really know you're of Christ. They just hate you because of that relationship that you've built and because his hand's on your life. And it makes people just angry, and that's what it is. So you're not going to fit in. Don't expect to fit in. And that's what God means when he says you're going to be hated from everybody, okay? So accept it and just know, listen, if God has his hand on your life, that's all that matters, okay? That's all that matters, okay? I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.